Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk with the Saw right here on Superlative Radio. So last week we were not sure if Discovery was going to air, where it being Christmas Eve that it would air this week in Canada. But it did.
It did, and
so
we're here.
we're here to talk about it. And unfortunately, it's all we have to talk about because, of course, The Mandalorian is all done, and WandaVision and Pennyworth don't start until the week of January the 12th.
Yep.
So, looks like we've got 2 episodes left of Discovery to chat about. And
Or even actually up late.
yeah, and then that'll be it for season 2. After the last 2 episodes of Discovery,
That's
we'll
right.
start season 3 of the show with WandaVision and Pennyworth.
Yep.
So anyway, yeah. So I guess Discovery, 11th episode. What did you think?
Well, I mean, it left you on a cliffhanger, obviously.
Oh, did it ever? Yeah.
And I wonder if they're going to do that with the last 2 as well. They're going to leave it, make it long. I wondered, that's when I saw that, I was like, that's what they're probably going to do. They're probably going to make cliffhangers. And then wonder if they're going to...
Well, it's tradition with Star Trek to leave the 3rd season of the show on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
They did it with Next Generation, and they did it with Deep Space Nine. Actually, with Deep Space Nine, they did it in season 2. They left the end of season 2 in a cliffhanger, sort
Okay.
of. And then they did it in Voyager, and they did it in Enterprise.
Well, then I guess they're going to probably do it here.
So they're probably going to do it with Discovery as well.
More than likely. That's,
They left season 2 on a cliffhanger.
yeah,
with
they
them
did,
jumping
actually.
into the future
That's
and
right.
not knowing
Exact-
what's
not
going
knowing
on.
what was going on, yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we get a cliffhanger ending.
Be ready.
Although this one would have been the perfect way to end it.
I would have figured that. That's...
I don't know. Like, granted, I'm not overly keen on what they did in the episode, but I mean, it was a good cliffhanger. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a good way to just be like, make everybody go,
This is it?
Are you crapping me? Like, what-
Yeah. Come on,
You
don't
know?
do this to me. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, because I mean, that ending there was, with them having the ship.
As they're getting
Just
there.
the ship disappears, and the way the spore drive activates, and they're gone. Right.
Yeah.
Like that's literally right down to Best of Both Worlds, where Riker's like, Mr. Worf,
Yep.
fire.
Yeah.
Like it's right,
right.
there. Like it's that whole holy crap, what's going to happen thing. But
There it
I
is.
mean, aside from the cliffhanger though, like, what did you think of the episode? Because I mean, they did reveal how the burn happened,
Yeah.
and
Finally. And it was a build up to get there. And whoever this one is, that's the enemy, the green chick there.
Osira.
Osira, thank you. Couldn't remember the name. Seems like seems like she can be a formidable enemy. But I'm waiting to see them just blow the hell out of her. That's all.
Yeah. Well, you know what surprised me about it though was that I don't know how she was able to figure out where Discovery was.
Well, they didn't tell you that.
And not only how she was able to figure out where it was, but how she could get there so quickly. Because the thing about Discovery is it has the spore drive, so they can literally basically teleport from one spot to another.
Yeah.
Where everybody else still has to use warp.
Yeah.
And even though they said transwarp still takes a while to get. Like it just happened to me that it seemed too convenient that she knew.
Well, they didn't tell
everything.
you how she knew.
Yeah, it just seemed like there was just too much there. But
It was
you
too
know.
far-fetched for you?
it just without laying any ground as to how she knew anything, because it's not like there would be a traitor on Discovery, because everybody on Discovery is from the past. Like it's not like, you know what I mean? Like it's not like it's not like you could say, okay, they were a 31st century starship already, and they had all grown up there, and one of them had been, bought off, or you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, okay.
it makes, and given the fact that she doesn't know where Starfleet headquarters was or anything like it's just, I don't know, it just seems all too convenient for me. And I mean, they better have a good way to explain it, because I don't know. It seemed a little too far fetched in that sense that it just didn't make any sense because of the
It didn't
situation.
follow in that pattern.
Yeah, like I mean,
okay.
if they had all
Yeah,
been born
okay.
and raised in that century, then I could see there's a possibility there could be a traitor on board because they could have had someone who was bought off or you know what I mean. But
What about somebody at Starfleet?
that's entirely possible.
Maybe somebody
You know,
there is
well, and like I said,
feeding her
they just better
information.
have an explanation for it that makes sense. I think
It
as
came to her in a dream.
As for the burn, I don't know about you, but I thought that was a pretty lame explanation of the burn.
Okay.
I mean, it was all caused by is it Sakul or Sakur or whatever the guy's name is?
Yeah.
And just
kid.
the planet that's a whole planet of dilithium, basically. It just, and the fact that they had such trouble getting through this nebula, even with shields, like, I mean, you're talking shields that, are leagues and leagues ahead of anything else we've ever would have seen. It just didn't make any sense. Like the whole, and then the fact that, I don't know. Like the burn explanation was completely.
You didn't like it.
No, it was poor, piss poor in my opinion. It was just terrible.
Well, you were waiting to see that it was her that started it.
Her or or anything that would have made a little bit more sense than that. That whole thing just didn't make any sense because I don't understand how that would make. Not only how that would make, like, I mean, I could see maybe it makes all the dilithium on that planet or something go inert or whatever. But I mean, for it to make, dilithium, all throughout the Federation and Klingon, Romulan, you know what I mean, and blow up ship like that. Just I don't know. It's just kind of far fetched for me.
Okay. Well,
So anyway, but I mean, otherwise, like, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they fix
together.
it, how they pull it together and fix it. Yeah.
I don't know if they're even going to pull it together before the next one because of the fact that it's almost done anyway. So they may still. Leave
Yeah.
you.
Well, I think the last two are going to be them trying to get the ship back or whatever, and it's going to end on a cliffhanger or whatever.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I'm not sure.
That's sort of what I expected, but
One thing I don't get is and maybe it's because they haven't really explained it all that well, but like Booker's ship,
yeah.
like, have you noticed, like, since we've seen it, right, in the last few parts, it transforms.
Well, it
Like
turns
it
kinda,
changes shapes and
Yeah.
I don't know if they've really explained that well. Like, I know it's this new matter thing that they're using. It's the same way they've been able to have the Discovery's nacelles separate from the ship, and I just wish they would go into a little bit more technical detail on what they're doing and how they're doing it. Like it.
What do you think, Pongo? Did you
Like,
enjoy
I
it?
miss that about Star Trek. Like, that's one of the things I liked about Next Generation and Deep Space Nine and Voyager was the technical aspect to it. Like they just had a little bit more there to explain things, whereas this is, I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I am enjoying the season, and I thought it was a pretty decent episode overall. It was filmed in Kingston.
Ontario?
Yes, at the penitentiary.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
that whole thing on the planet, that was all filmed in Kingston.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. Interesting.
So there you go, people. Kingston, Ontario. The penitentiary.
Yay, Kingston. Yay, Kingston.
And I mean, you want to talk about a building that looks... You ever have a look? You ever see that building?
Yeah,
the
I've gone to
penitentiary
Kingston a
from the
lot.
outside?
I've gone to Kingston.
It looks
a
like a
couple times.
castle.
It's quite interesting.
It's quite the building. But anyway, I guess they filmed that there. That's what they did. They filmed it there. And
Nice little town.
well, I mean, Discovery's filmed in Toronto, right? So I mean, it was just a few hours drive to.
Oh, yeah, it's not far from Kingston,
Kingston
to Toronto,
and-
but I didn't know they filmed it in Toronto. Really?
Yep. Discovery's all filmed in Canada. Yep. Toronto.
I was not aware of that.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. So, but yeah.
So
I thought it
they're
was-
not going back and forth over the border then. They're staying in Canada for this, I would imagine then.
I don't know. I know that.
Logically speaking, I mean, they'd have to stay in Canada because if they went back across and then came again, they'd have to
quarantine. And
Quarantine
everything.
for 14
I mean,
days and
I
shit,
don't,
so-
I don't know, but I do know that they film in Toronto. That much I do know.
Wow.
That show's filmed in Toronto. But yeah, so
Very good. Was not aware of that.
yeah. Anyway, so I mean, what did you guys think? Did you guys like the explanation of the burn? Did you guys like the cliffhanger? Like, I kind of like the way that that in this future they have like the Orions and the Andorians have like come together and formed this emerald chain.
Yeah.
That's kind of odd because the Andorians were always steadfast allies of humans.
Yeah.
Just seems kind of funny that they're not. And I mean, there's no sign of the Klingons or the Romulans in this. Like they haven't, or the Cardassians. They haven't explained any of the other major powers that exist and what's happened to them or whatever.
Nobody's come to be yet.
I kind of would like to see that. Like, I hope that.
Well, they're
we
so
see
busy
more of
concentrating
that.
on the other stuff at this point.
Yeah, I know. I'd like to see them focus on bringing some of that other stuff around so we can kind of see where they're all at. Like,
Maybe
even the
next season.
Ferengi. I'd kind of like to see what's up with the Ferengi. You know, and
Maybe next season. But
just different things like that. I think it would be cool to see. Like, are they? I mean, because we got an idea that the Romulans and the Vulcans, obviously they've come together or whatever. But like, what happened to the Romulan Empire? Like, does it still exist or what? Like, where's the Klingons? Like, I just would like to know what's up with the, what about the Bajoran wormhole? And the Dominion and just the Borg. Like, there's so many things I would just like to know what's what.
update to know
Rather
what's
than
going
them
on.
just focusing on this emerald, because I find it hard to believe that this emerald chain group could develop such power when there's. I mean, it's not like it's not like if the Federation collapsed, right? As an example, or was severely diminished, like it was. There would be a lot more rise in things like other organizations and stuff, but it would have left a power vacuum that, the Klingons or the Romulans or the
Somebody would have tried to step in?
Yes, or there would have been a whole whack of them divvying up Federation territory. Like to me, it just doesn't seem like they've put enough thought into it. And I think that's really on the writers. Honestly, I think that they don't. I like the show and I like what they're doing, but I think they don't put enough.
They're not expanding enough.
I don't like. You got to realize that at this point, when you jumped them to that point in the future, right? Like, you've had already such huge galactic spanning events that have happened in Star Trek that they need an explanation. Like, you need to follow up on those things now. There's so many things that fans are going to be like, well, I want to know what happened with this. I want to know what happened with that.
Yeah.
And you can't just be like, yeah, well, whatever. Let's just leave them hanging, or I don't know. Maybe they're going to do that in season 4. I don't know, but maybe this is just to establish stuff, and then in season 4 they'll delve into it a little bit more. But even still, I mean, season 4 is only going to be another 13 episodes.
Yeah.
And then it's like, what? Is there going to be a season 5? No one even knows.
No. Which is a problem there too, because you don't know where it's going to end up.
The show honestly needs longer seasons. Like that's so.
Well, that's key for anything now. I mean, it's just
I know,
too short.
This whole streaming thing. While I like streaming, and I like being able to generally sit down and binge watch shows, even if you want to wait the 8 weeks till they're all done and then you binge watch it or whatever. But the fact that they're so short is just killing. Like, when you look back, we're going to have had now 3 seasons of Discovery. Okay, which is a total of what? 13, 26, 39 episodes. And then you look back, that's a season and a half of Next Generation.
Yeah. That's right.
That's a season and a half of
Anything.
Deep Space Nine, a season and a half of Voyager, a season and a half of Enterprise even.
Yeah. I know.
Like,
it doesn't.
How are you supposed to flesh out in detail this entire...
You don't. It's not enough time to do it.
No, exactly.
Yeah, it's time constraining to try to put you, and you can't put a lot of. details and a lot of things into a season that's that short.
I know.
Because you've got to be
Yeah.
jumping. You've got to be always thinking. Well, you got to get to here. You got to get.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
because you want to get to a point in the story.
Like, at least with, like, as an example, and I mean, I'm not happy about it with The Mandalorian either, but at least with, like, the Star Wars and Marvel shows that are, like, the Star Wars one that's out, and the ones that are coming, and the Marvel shows that are coming, I understand it is because what they're basically doing with those is they're taking a movie
and cutting it
and
up.
they're cutting it up or expanding it to X amount of episodes, and I get so that they can get more content out there, as opposed to, you know, well, you get, you know, 3 Marvel movies a year and 1 Star Wars movie every 2 years, and it's like, okay, well, at least this way we're getting more content,
Yeah.
as opposed to in the opposite direction with Star Trek, where we're now getting a lot less content. We're getting 50% of the content that we were getting before,
Yeah.
and that makes it really hard. Because Star Trek has always been a show that, as it's gone on, it's fleshed things out,
Yeah.
especially the cast.
Sure.
Like, we basically, like, when you think about it, and you sit down and you watch Discovery, right? We know oodles and oodles about Michael Burnham, okay? And then they focus a bit on Tilly, and they focus a bit on Saru.
Yeah.
And, but basically everybody else is like a background character.
Yeah, we know little about them.
We know little about. I mean, we know a little bit about the doctor and the engineer. We know a little bit about the Trill girl now. We know
Yeah.
a little bit, like, but really, basically, they're still just background kids. They're more like, what's a good example? They're more like a stereotype than a fleshed out character. Like the other woman, I can't remember her name. The one that they picked up on that base that time. And they brought her over, and she's the sarcastic one in engineering there in the lab. That
Oh, yeah, okay, I know who you mean.
she's
Yeah,
got
yeah.
the short
Yeah,
hair.
yeah.
And like she's just like, to me, I think that could be an interesting character if they flesh her out a bit. But when you look at what she currently is, she's basically just a, well, what did I say a second ago?
I don't know what
You know, about what I said they were. Frig, why are my words not working?
Yeah,
today?
yeah. But so basically, they're just there to support
Well,
everybody else. They're supporting cast
stereotype.
as opposed
Stereotype. Like,
okay.
she's just like the sarcastic, odd stereotype chick. Like, there's no other detail to her. Like, what's her face? Who's the pilot with the implant thing on her head?
Yeah,
Okay. What is she? What do we know about her?
not much.
What do we know about the black girl sits across from her? I can't even remember the character's name.
No.
What about that other lieutenant that occasionally sits in the captain's chair when, you know, like, not, what
don't
about the
know.
guy, what about the Oriental fellow who stands over it? I don't know if it's tactical or whatever he's,
Yeah.
like, what do we know about him? Like, we know nothing about some of these characters that have been on the show now for 3 years, and we know nothing about them. Whereas, you know,
It's like-
look at Star Trek: The Next Generation. Let's just look at that one. We won't even go into any of the others. Let's look at that one, and let's look at what we knew about those characters after 3 years. Okay? Well, we knew Data liked Sherlock Holmes programs. We knew that he was trying to become more human. We knew he liked to paint. We knew a little bit about his origin. We knew he had a brother. We knew he had, you know what I mean? Like, we knew all these, and then Captain Picard. What do we know
But
about
the
Captain Picard?
seasons were longer.
They were. Okay. But even go back to what I said.
So
A year and a half
Yeah.
of Next Generation. We still know the exact same things about Data. We know look at what we knew about, you know, the other characters in the cast. Like, we knew much more about them because they developed them. They didn't just focus on, like, this show, like, let's be honest. We knew this show was going to focus from the beginning because they said it. It was going to focus. It wasn't going to be a show that was like typical Star Trek. It was going to focus on this one character. And yes, I get that. But at the same time, Star Trek's always generally focused on one character. It's usually the captain, and the others are the supporting cast. That's
Right.
usually the way it is. The original series, it was Kirk. Spock and Bones were next, but it was mostly Kirk and then Spock and Bones.
Yeah.
And then the other characters were to support that.
That's right.
With Next Generation, it was Data and Picard
Yeah.
and Riker,
And
then
Riker.
the others kind of supported them, right? And then, you know, with Deep Space Nine, it was It was Cisco and Cisco, Kira. I would say Cisco, Kira, Odo, and Quark were probably the main characters, right, of that show. And then the others all kind of supported them. But we still learned things about the other characters.
Yeah.
Like if you look at how little we saw, let me think, who would be a good. If we look at how little we saw of Jake Sisko in the first couple seasons of Deep Space Nine, we knew he was Sisko's son, but you learn a little bit more about him, even though he's more of a supporting cast member.
But you still knew more.
But we still knew more.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm getting at is there's like they need to develop these other characters. Like the actors deserve it, for one, because they're dedicating their time to the show, and they're some of them are agreeing to sit in makeup for God knows how long, and you know what I mean? Like they deserve some development.
You're making it, you're saying that, and all I'm picturing is that scene in Austin Powers, and henchmen over there randomly turning buttons.
Yeah, exactly.
That's sort of what I'm...
Exactly.
Yeah,
Not you, henchman, randomly turning knobs, pretending he's doing something when he's not.
Yeah, yeah.
Not you.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Not you.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The little guy can't take a hint. Yeah, no, but that's sort of what I'm
Doesn't
picturing.
understand who would watch him.
Yeah.
Yes, no, that's what I mean. I would like to see more development of these other characters, just because, they may turn out to be interesting characters. Like they've had characters like the cyborg chick, right? That ended up,
Yeah.
like we knew next to nothing about her, and I thought she would have been a really interesting character to learn about, and now she's gone from the show.
Yeah. Well, maybe.
That's what I mean. It's like it would have just been cool to learn some things about these characters and think, man, that'd be an interesting. Like we knew more about Tasha Yar in a year than we've learned about any of these other characters, and she was killed off.
Yeah.
And she was killed off, in an episode that was almost at the end of the first season. She didn't even last the whole first season.
Yeah, that's right. And we still knew more.
We still knew, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. Like we know next to nothing about the other characters, and I would love to learn a little bit more about them.
Well, there you go.
Just because I think it would be interesting. They've got some interesting characters, or at least they appear to be interesting on the outside. But what more do we know about them other than a couple basic personality traits? We basically know nothing about them. We've learned more about the human girl with this Trill symbiote
Yep.
than some of the characters that have been on that show for 2 years.
Yeah. Well, we know everybody that's with her, but yeah.
We know more about her than we know about some of the, that's what I mean. Don't get me wrong. I'm enjoying the season. Discovery has only gotten better as it's gone on. But
it still can get better.
It could get a lot better if they would give it more time, give it more episodes. They've really got to stop with these short seasons. And I know it's never going to go back to the way it was, but
No, it
God,
won't.
at least boost it from, say, 13 to 18.
Marky.
At least 13 to 18.
Thank you.
That would at least be something. I don't know.
Anyway, that's his complaint. So
It's my only complaint is just I don't think that the show is getting developed as much as it should be, which is too bad because I think it's only hurting it. I don't think it's helping it by making it shorter. I think that's why a lot of fans are so.
well, what do you check the boards? What do the fans say? Are the fans enjoying it?
No, Discovery has a lot of people bitching about it, but what I mean is I think if they had more time and they fleshed it out more and they did more development, there would be things that the fans would be able to complain less about because at least more things would be being explained or developed better or whatever. It's just that it seems like it's like all we ever hear is these same few little things, and there's so much being left out. I don't know. Anyway, what do you guys think?
Yeah. Let us know what you think.
What do you think? Would you like to see longer seasons? Would you like to see things developed more? Would you like to see some of the other characters given more time? What?
Yeah.
I know I would. So, what do you think of the season so far? How do you think it's going to end? Do you think they're going to get Discovery back before the end of the season, or what? I don't know.
I don't think they will. I think they're going to leave it as a cliffhanger for next season. That's what I think. But.
Yeah, I do too. But anyway, yeah, so I guess that's it. We'll
That's
see you
it.
guys next week for another episode of this to talk about Discovery. There's only 2 episodes left of Discovery, so there's 2 episodes left of this season for us.
Yep.
And season 3 of Let's Talk will start probably, it'll be after the 15th, because the 15th is when WandaVision airs for the first time. So
it'll be sometime after that. But,
it'll probably be the week right after that. So check back.
but in the
this is
meantime,
over for that.
have a happy New Year.
Yes.
Have a safe New Year.
Hope you guys had wonderful Christmases.
Yep.
And
Bless you, sir. Bless you.
We'll see you guys next week.
Yep. Take care, and we will see you guys on the other side.